Rinse takes your laundry and hand-delivers it to your door, expertly cleaned and folded. So you could take the time once spent folding and sorting and waiting to finally pursue a whole new version of you. Like Tea Time You. Or this Tea Time You. Or even this Tea Time You.
So did you hear about Dave?
Or even Tea Time You.
So update on Dave.
It's up to you. We'll take the laundry. Rinse. It's time to be great.
At Sierra, discover top workout gear at incredible prices, which might lead to another discovery. Your headphones haven't been connected this whole time. Awkward. Discover top brands at unexpectedly low prices. Sierra, let's get moving.
Where intellectual honesty gets witness protection from social prosecution. The Last Show with David Cooper.
Let us crack open a university course on witchcraft and the occult, the history, the myths, and the strange truths hiding within. No broom is required, just curiosity, and you can take this course at the University Alberta. I'm here with a lecturer from that school with history, classics, and religion, Allan Wright, who teaches the course. Allan, welcome in.
Oh, thanks. Good to be here.
It's a fun and an exciting headline, and in some sense, I'm jealous of you because at parties, when people ask you what you do, you get to say you teach a class on the witchcraft and occult history of it all, don't you?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I don't go to many parties anymore, but yeah, it's a conversation starter for sure. Some people look at you like you're a Disney witch yourself. Some people get more curious about it. Yeah.
So walk me through some of the things I might learn in the course. Around what time period does the course start?
Well, first we look at some general theoretical approaches, kind of the classification, what is witchcraft, what is magic, what is the occult. So we kind of go through some definitions, how some of them are problematic. Can we include, different categories from other cultures into the same classification of the English witch, if you will. But then after that, after some theoretical things, we start with ancient Mesopotamia. So look at the supposed witches in ancient Mesopotamia and how the priests would try to basically extinguish them through the temple. Then we get into ancient Egypt, and Egypt's a bit different because we don't really have any instances of a so-called witch in ancient Egypt. Magic was very much not frowned upon at all in ancient Egypt. But then when we move on to the Greco-Roman times, we see more Greek kind of proto-witches start to look more similar, I guess, to what we might classify as the witch, living in isolated places, having familiars, using pharmaca, etc. And then when we move into the Roman section, it's a lot more hostile. They did have active witch hunts in the Roman Empire. Then after that, we just move on to the Middle Ages, earlier Middle Ages, the Renaissance, and then finally the later Middle Ages when we get into texts like the Malleus Maleficarum, and then the witch hunts. After the witch hunts, we get to 19th century occultism. So we look at some of the secret societies, we look at figures like Aleister Crowley, get into the notion of spiritualism. After that, we get into more neo-paganism, Wicca type of idea, and then finally I kind of ended off with modern Satanism.
Modern Satanism. It sounds fun in practice. You were mentioning Mesopotamia. Is the persecution of witches something that's repeated over history? Like, I think of the Salem witch trials, but I imagine that wasn't the first instance. Is this something that humanity has been doing since, I don't know, a very long time? Kind of like having those that are rumored to be doing something magical and then those being persecuted?
Yeah, pretty much. In ancient Mesopotamia, basically we're kind of two practitioners of magic, and one kind of got conglomerated into the official temple state. So they became the official legitimate magical practitioners. So everything they would do, including exorcisms and so forth, were considered legitimate magic. Whereas some other forms were I don't know exactly what they were doing, but they were considered to be doing, evil deeds, hurting, harming people, mostly through stomach issues and so forth. But then, yes, they would. They had a text, and their text basically said that you had to get rid of the witch by basically burning them.
Lovely fate for a witch. How many students come into your course expecting, like, I don't know, as a kid, I love Sabrina the Teenage Witch. A lot of people like Harry Potter. They kind of expect it to be fun, and then they sort of quickly realize it's more about anthropology and history than wand waving.
Yes, exactly. One of the very first things I say on the first day is, this isn't Hogwarts. I'm not going to be telling you spells and potions and stuff. Actually, I do give them some spells later on in the semester because they're kind of fun. But I wouldn't recommend trying them. But yeah, so I think quickly realizing that it is a historical approach and not just this is what a magic potion might look like. But I do one assignment that is a media assignment, so they can look at things like Sabrina the Teenage Witch and actually not Harry Potter. I've read too many Harry Potter papers, but they look and they examine the aspect of witchcraft, occultism, magic inside these popular media representations, and what could be a popular or what could be a ramification of that.
Well, to that end, these popular media representations, the subject is full of myths. I'm sure many movies perpetuate them. What is one misconception or myth about witchcraft that your course might clear up for me if I take it?
Anything specific you have in mind?
The more fanciful, the better.
Okay. Well, I guess the kind of extreme version would be kind of the witch's Sabbat in the Middle Ages when the witch hunts were going on, with the idea that the witches would fly towards this special island and get involved with Satan and have these special rituals where they denounce Christianity and get rebaptized in the name of Satan and all this stuff. Yeah, that didn't really happen.
Sounds like a fun party to me, but I'm guessing if it didn't exist, it's not a party I could have attended.
Yeah, it was. A lot of accusations actually began from children, and usually when the witch hunts would occur, it would snowball. And then you would get these large-scale accusations of these people kidnapping children and taking them to special locations and then eating them or draining them of blood or whatever.
Is it true that the mechanism of figuring out someone was a witch during the Salem witch trials was to drown them? And if they died, they were exonerated? And if they somehow, I don't know, didn't die because they flew away or escaped the drowning circumstances, then they were a witch? Was this logic really applied? I've heard stories like this.
Yes, not so much in Salem, but more so in especially England and Scotland, where we had King James, his kind of famous book on witchcraft, demonology. He prescribes to. It's called swimming the witch. So what they would do is they would toss them in a river, and if the witch sinks, then they have rejected the waters of baptism. They would sink and maybe drowned. If they would float to the top, then they would embrace the waters of baptism and then be considered kind of innocent. The problem was, though, that people like the Witchfinder General Matthew Hopkins in England, he started to do this again when it was considered illegal, but he wouldn't just stop at one time. He would keep throwing the same person into the river over and over again until they basically confessed.
Great. What a wonderful end or situation there.
Yes.
Modern witchcraft, you mentioned that's where your course ends up. With things like Wicca, neo-paganism, people on TikTok claiming to be witches.
Yeah.
Why do you think Wicca or witchcraft is having such a moment right now?
I think because it's a form of alternative religion, spirituality, if you will. One that's very highly romanticized in the veneration of nature, equality, so forth. So it takes a lot of modern themes and reconstructs these traditions that were thought to be based in the past.
Is there one period that you particularly like the most that you look at in your course?
I would say, I actually look at voodoo. A lot of people like the voodoo section that we look at because of a lot of the rituals and so forth, some of the mythologies behind it. So that's a fun section to do. I enjoy the occultism section. I don't really know why. I can't give you any specific reasons. I do enjoy all of the sections, but I don't know if I have a specific favorite one. Maybe when we get into more modern Satanism, because I have an academic past that discusses the narrative character of Satan from earlier times on, so it's more familiar with me. But
it's a good thing you like them all because you teach the course, and that course is at the University of Alberta, where Allan Wright is a lecturer with history, classics, and religion. Allan, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about witchcraft with me and the occult, of course.
thanks for having me.
As a raider scavenging a derelict world, you settle into an underground settlement. But now you must return to the surface, where arc machines roam. If you're brave enough, who knows what you might find? Arc Raiders, a multiplayer extraction adventure video game. Buy now for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. Rated T for teen.